Hey everyone, it's Teresa. I know it has been like forever. But today I'm going to bring you something a little bit different. I am actually going to be bringing a video to you that is all real time, and I'm going to talk through the majority of it kind of as I go. And I hope you guys really enjoy it. So let's just jump right on in. Alright, so we're going to start over here on Creative Fabrica's website. This is the graphic that I'm going to be using today. It's got a bunch of round side images, but we're going to scale them down to about a 3.5 inch disc so that we can make some ornaments out of them. As you can see here, they've got lots of examples and they're going to be adorable. So let's go ahead and get it downloaded. To do it, it's really easy. You click this download button. I've already done that, so I'm not going to do it again. But then you just go through your computer system and get it uploaded over to Cricut Design Space, or if you're using a Silhouette, the same software system that they use, whatever they use for that. And then I'm going to show you real quick how I do a couple of adjustments and also how we're going to put it all together. Alright, so as you can see, now that I've uploaded all of these different graphics from that one file over from Creative Fabrica, I'm going to do a couple of little adjustments. I went ahead and sized them all at about a 3.5 inch, but there's some on here, some little bits of detail that are just going to be a nightmare to weed, so I'm just going to get rid of them since they're so small. If you're keeping these at like a normal size, then by all means I think that they'll be just fine. So on here, like this Christmas Wishes one, I'm just going to scan all the way up, and I want to get rid of those snowflakes because those are going to be a nightmare. Let me see if we can find those. I'm just going to hide them. There's going to be, I'm going to kind of just go through all of these different ones. If you can see right here, this is all the Christmas Wish ones. This should be it. There's nothing too terribly difficult about this one. This one has these bells. Those are going to be a little more complicated. So I am going to hide those bells because that is not something I want to try and weed. Now on here you'll notice I've got these little starry looking things to help kind of balance it out. I think I'm just going to move a couple of those as long as I can find the right graphic. Let's see. So for this one, see, it kind of highlights it for you, and you see I've got these. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in a little, and I'm just going to move it around just a little just to kind of balance out some of those. So if I want to do an extra one, I'll click on it and just going to go ahead and do a right click, and I'm going to duplicate, and it's going to give it to me, but apparently all the way over there, and I'll put it right there. So see, that helps kind of balance it all out. So now I'll highlight all of that, and I'm going to just do attach. So now those are all one piece. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm going to do that for all of these different ones, all of these different graphics that I want to cut. I'm not going to do all of them. I went ahead and put them all in Cricut Design Space just in case. But let me go through. I'm just going to pick probably like 6 that I like. See, like this one, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the star, so we're just going to go ahead and you can either delete or you can hide it. I'm going to go ahead and delete it just to make it easier. So let me start pulling out a few. This one I like, but I don't know. There's something about this one I'm not 100% on. Maybe it's the stars. Let me get rid of those stars. And I don't know. I don't like all of those little I don't know what those are supposed to be. They kind of look like they're trying to be like little twinkly something or others, but since I am not 100% sure, I'm just going to get rid of them because they look weird. They look off to me. So that's one thing that's nice. Whenever you can pull in your file as an SVG, you get a lot more options to kind of make and adjust things. So now that I did that, I'm going to actually copy this little leaf down here. If I can find it, it should be that one. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. There's another option you can do to duplicate right here. And I am going to rotate this. Let's do 180-degree rotation. And I'm going to zoom in on here. And you'll get the option to rotate usually. Nope, apparently not on here. I want to actually do a little different. I'm gonna once you zoom in, you should get the little arrows. Oh, I had it. There we go. I'm just going to kind of offset right here, and then this one down here I'm going to detach, and I'm going to offset this as well. So you just move your mouse around so you get the little rotating spot. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll have them both up on top. I think that would be cute. So I'm just going to kind of go and play around with this different graphics and different pieces and parts, and that'll help. I'm going to go ahead and flip this and rotate it. Like I said, you just kind of play around with different pieces and parts, especially when it's the SVG. You can make it your own, which is kind of what I'm doing here. So hopefully you guys will be able to kind of make all these different ones kind of more closely aligned to what you want them to look like. So let me back up and see if I like that. I don't know, there's still something about it that's not quite right. So anyways, I'm going to play around with all of these, and I'll come back on the screen here in just a minute when you can, I'll show you the next steps on getting these to cut over on the Cricut. Alright, so I've got all of those set up the way I want them. I went ahead and just kind of kept it to, I think I've got 7 on there. Just went for just the ones that I really liked, and I don't want to do so many. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up on my machine, except I think I just noticed something. Let me just check, because I think these are just dots. Nope, they're not. All right, so I thought these would be a little complicated to weed, so I'm just going to get rid of those real quick too. I just noticed them though, and on a lot of this, and since I kind of got rid of stuff, I went ahead and also got something to put in place of it. So let's just add just a couple of those little guys, little doohickeys, just so that they're not, it's not boring, basically. So let me just add a couple in. Oh, they keep putting them in the corner like that. All right, that's better. So I'm going to just attach all of those. So everything's going to cut out all at one time. I've got this really pretty gold vinyl that I think is going to look really pretty on these, and then I'll do a couple of different colored ribbon for the hangers. So now that I'm done, I'm going to go to make it, and it's going to start trying to communicate over with the Cricut Venture, which is what the machine I have set up. I'm going to do it without a mat, and I've got 25-inch material, and I'm just going to click confirm. It's going to start putting it all into place for me, and I'm going to get this all arranged and get my machine set up. So I just jumped right into this because I have previously shown you guys kind of how to do the setup and everything for the Cricut Venture. So we're just going to jump right into how to actually put everything together. So I have a 3.5-inch disc, unlike what I said these were supposed to be made at. Just so you know, do not make them at 4 inches. They will not fit the 3.5-inch discs. But I did make a couple of extra ones to fit this one now. What I did with it is there is always going to be, both sides have like a film you have to peel off. So peel it off of one side, and I actually did this frosted glass spray on one side. I left the other side with the peel on, that way it wouldn't get messed up, but I have since peeled it off. Really easy to do. And I'm going to take this particular graphic that I got from Creative Fabrica, and I'm going to put it on this side, and I'll show you one method you can do it. You don't have to do it this way. I'm going to take my transfer tape. That is too long, so let me cut that. So we're going to take our transfer tape, line it up, of course, just like you normally would. This one is one that I got off Expressions vinyl, I think. It is probably by far one of my favorites. Take, of course, your scraping tool, and just like you normally would. Now, with this method, make sure that you are using a transfer tape that does not have lines. No grid lines or anything like that. It is particularly important in this method because otherwise you will transfer those grid lines onto your your blank or whatever. Don't do this. This is like the wet method. There's actually a little bit, like just the tiniest drop of soap, like Dawn Just soap in this. Don't do this method if you're using the transfer tape with grid lines on it. Let me see if I can find an example. This one's not open, but you can see it's got grid lines all over it. But don't use this because those will transfer onto here. And don't use this method if you're doing it on like a piece of wood, because you want a non-porous surface. So I'm going to just transfer my image. Some of these things have pretty skinny fonts, so just be slow and careful as you go. And now what I'm going to do with this very, very slightly soapy water, I'm going to spray a little bit on my surface and a little bit on my design. And now it's got something to allow me to be able to pick it up. See, I can pick it up and put it back down. That is not something you can do normally, of course. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it into the position that I want it in. See, like I said, you've got a little bit of play with it. You can kind of maneuver it around. Right here looks good. And then I am just going to go ahead and start to, you know, burnish down just like you normally would. And you're going to end up having a little bit of water, so have a little paper towel or something underneath. Now, sometimes you'll have to wait for this to dry a little bit, and sometimes you can get away with not waiting for it. I found that with the acrylic discs, if I kind of blot as I go, a lot of times I can get away with not waiting for it to dry. But if you're having a problem where you're pulling up your vinyl, let it dry a little bit. I have noticed also that this particular transfer tape, I do not have that problem with. So see, I do have a little bit of it coming up right here, so I'm just going to push it right back down and burnish it a little bit. So what it probably is just has a little bit of water underneath it. It's going to dry eventually. It's just sometimes it'll take a little longer to dry in certain places. Like here in Florida, you know, it's humid. It doesn't matter what time of year it is always going to be humid. So like I said, just keep it nice and low, just like you normally would. Blot it as you go, just to try to absorb any of that water. And just like I said, just like you normally would, just go super slow with it. And you can still see, if you might be able to see that, you can still see some water pooling. Completely fine. The only drawback is you can't reuse really this piece of transfer tape. I rarely do anyways, so no big deal for me. And you'll see here, it's got it nice and pretty. This side is kind of that frosted look versus the front is that nice clear. So once that is nice and dry, or you can dry it off, I'm going to just put through some really pretty chiffon ribbon as kind of the hanger. Let me show you. I bought a bunch of different colors in a pack from Amazon. It's got this really pretty kind of hunter green. I've used it in a few different things, so I'm just going to loop this through without the speck of something on the end of this skewer. I'm just going to push it through the one side, pull it through, tie it off, and this is going to make such a pretty classic ornament. I've got quite a few. I'll show you here in just a minute, but just tie it off, trim off the edge, and it's just super pretty and classic. And if you get any little pieces of that chiffon ribbon that are fraying and kind of in the way, just of course clean it up. There you go. So like I said, a few really pretty options. I think they're super classic and really pretty. You can personalize them and do anything you want with them, and you're going to end up having that like bubble-free application by doing that water method. So if you have to do something with like a large surface area of vinyl and it's not on a piece of wood or something that is going to, you know, soak up the water, this is just a perfect method for that. I hope everyone really enjoyed today's video. I know this is totally different from the stuff that I would normally do, the, you know, like real-time crafting and everything, but sometimes it's a lot easier for me to be able to get a video out if I can just do the voiceover part, or not really voiceover, but kind of like talk through it at the same time as actually, you know, having the video going, making things. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Bye.